What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome to the Greyt podcast, episode 49. Next week, I have my 50th episode. Quite exciting. I know I said that in episode 50, we're going to do a mock draft, and I'm still planning on doing that. And that this week, I would do interior defensive lineman top 10. But I'm actually going to do a complete 180 U-turn here, okay? Because for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just had a complete crash out because I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I was hoping that we could get Christian Kirk signed this year in free agency. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars and their inept organization with their inept owner decided to trade Christian Kirk in division to the Texans. So I just had a full-blown crash out. So I'm kind of in the mood to rant and vent. And there is something I want to rant and vent about. It's not going to be that because that's NFL related. Instead, I'm going to rant about something that happened last week after I had already uploaded my video. There was a clip that surfaced about Kirby Smart. And there's been some talks about it among Texas A&M folk because it was about Johnny Manziel. And I want to rant about that. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just give context, right? Let's give context. So the video that I saw, that pretty much, I mean, if you're on social media, you probably saw it. Kirby was doing a PowerPoint. I don't know what he was doing this for, who he was showing this to, but he was doing some sort of PowerPoint presentation. And he had four faces up on the thing. It was Joe Burrow, Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. Oh my gosh, I forgot what the third one was. Oh, Bryce Young, I think. So it was Bryce Young, Johnny Manziel, Joe Burrow, and Cam Newton. And the question at the top said, what do these four have in common? Now, you got the typical answers. Oh, they're all quarterbacks, which, I mean, that's low-hanging fruit. That's easy. It was, someone said they're all Heisman winners, which is true. Now, the correct answer, which Kirby showed on the next slide, was all four of those quarterbacks had great days against his defenses, right? But before he had shown that, someone yelled out, champions. And Kirby decided to say, he basically said champions. And he pointed at Johnny Manziel and he said, he ain't champion of anything, champion of fireball. And that went pretty viral on social media. And I'm gonna talk about a few things that first off, I'll give my thoughts on it. I think it's funny, and I would just like to ask anyone who has a problem with it, where's the lie? In all the rants I've seen from Texas A&M losers, and all the rants I've seen from them yelling about Kirby Smart saying this about their beloved savior Johnny Manziel, who got them 0 championships, in all their yelling and screaming. They can't say that he's a liar. They can't say Kirby's wrong. We know about Johnny's off the field issues in the college and in the NFL. He's talked about it himself. He's very open and honest about it. And at least it does seem like Johnny is a better person now than he was back then, although it's not a high bar. But in particular, on Barstool, they have a college football podcast, Barstool Sports, if you've listened to any of their stuff. They have a college football podcast called Unnecessary Roughness. And they have a Texas A&M fangirl on there named Casey Smith. Now, I don't have any issues with her. I think for the most part, she's fine. Brandon Walker is the star of the show. That's just plain and simple. That's just the case. And I think the show's kind of fallen off a little bit, but that's besides the point. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I saw a clip, because Unnecessary Roughness posted the clip of Casey's response, because she's a Texas A&M fangirl. And she basically just went off about, oh my gosh, Kirby, he's such a scumbag, and oh my gosh, Kirby, with all the off the field DUI issues that Georgia's had, how could he say something like this? And not in any part of that did she ever say that anything Kirby said was wrong. You see, Kirby's a champion. Not as a defensive coordinator and as a head coach, he's a champion. And I just, it's just crazy to me. Like, I know Johnny Manziel is all that Texas A&M fans, as far as football is concerned, really have to hang on to, because he's really the only amount of success that Texas A&M has really had in recent years. And even that didn't lead to an SEC championship, didn't lead to a national championship appearance, let alone winning a national championship. And you know what? Congrats. He did win a Heisman. He won an individual award in the team sport. I'm so happy for him. But, so, something, and look, I think he was a dynamic player. I loved watching him play. He is entertaining. That's no lie. But where in what Kirby Smart said was he lying? I just want to ask the question. And again, people, she wants to bring up the quote unquote culture issues at UGA, and oh my gosh, all the kids with DUI. First off, we haven't had a case like that in a while now, just saying. It's been about, it was what, because the last one, I don't even know when the last DUI happened, because the two wide receivers that got kicked off, well, one of them got kicked off the team, the other one was suspended. And by the way, those charges got dropped. So everyone who said everything they said about Colby Young should be forced to apologize. Of course, none of them will. But Ra Smith, he got kicked off the team. That wasn't for a DUI. I'm trying to remember the last DUI we had. I know we had a freshman receiver who got pulled over and arrested, but it wasn't a DUI. It was for driving the wrong way on a one-way, which is still just appalling to me that you can get arrested for something like that. I mean, he was a freshman. It happens. But I mean, it's just insane, because we know that I lived in Athens. I went to school at UGA. All right, all of us who go there, we know how the Athens police are. Okay. Casey Smith, I'm pretty sure I remember an episode where she herself said that she got a ticket in Athens. But, you know, again, apparently Georgia, we've won 2 national championships in the past 4 years, and we have culture problems, I guess. I mean, somehow that's how that works, apparently. Haven't lost a home game since 2019, I think, and we have culture issues. Okay. Okay. Sure. Your claim to fame is a kid who never got you an SEC championship, who never got you a national championship, let alone a national championship appearance. His claim to fame is he beat Alabama. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. That's exactly what it was. And look, and like I said, he is an electric football player, and he's all that. But I think it was a complete overreaction. And look, maybe sure you can make the argument that maybe Kirby shouldn't have said that. Sure, you can make that argument. That's fine. But at the end of the day, he did. And is he wrong? Let me just ask the question again. Is he wrong? No, he's not. Another thing I want to get to, so we had the combine this past weekend. And a couple things I want to get to about the combine. First of all, I want to talk about Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond, Alabama receiver, transferred to Texas, played, a couple years at Texas? Can we just be honest for a second? Isaiah Bond wasn't really that good at Alabama, if we're being honest, and he was worse at Texas. He's always been overrated, and this past season was not a good season for him in the slightest. Plus, he spent a good part of the season injured. And then we get to the combine. His draft stock has already fallen. So there were some people before the season started, they thought he was going to be a first-round pick. And then after the season, he'd probably slid to probably second round pick. And then the combine happened, maybe third round pick. And then the combine happens. And he goes up there to the podium like an idiot and decides to say that he was going to break the NFL Combine 40-yard dash record, which sat at, I think, like a 4.2, because his teammate the year before, Xavier Worthy, was the one who set that record. So basically, Isaiah Bond was saying he was going to run a 4.19 or 4.18, around there, right? He proceeds to go up and run a 4.41. And now he could be looking at himself like, and that you could easily look at Isaiah Bond now and go, this guy might be like a 5th round pick. I mean, if we're being honest, his claim to fame is he's fast, and it turns out he's not that fast. I mean, can we just be honest here? I just don't understand why you would do something like that. What you want to do is what literally his teammate Matthew Golden did. Matthew Golden didn't say a word about his 40-yard dash. Everyone thought he'd run what Isaiah Bond ran, which is a 4.41. Matthew Golden goes up there and runs a 4.3 flat. And now he's looking like the, at worst, second best receiver in the draft. I think he is the best receiver in the draft, personally. I know when I did my wide receiver rankings, I had Ted McMillan at first, but that was obviously before the combine happened. And Matthew Golden has continued to impress me as the time has gone on. And then the other thing I want to talk about when it comes to the combine, because this is something that happens every year. It happened with Jalen Carter. It happened with Micah Parsons. It happens with a lot of guys, and it's happening this year with 2 guys in particular, James Pierce Jr. and Mike Green. Mainly with James Pierce Jr. And it is the off-the-field attitude issues. The media loves to take these kids and loves to drag them through the mud, drag their name through the mud by releasing random stories on a random Tuesday and go, I just heard that. Basically, I'll put it in layman's terms. Basically, I found out that so-and-so is actually a piece of trash human being, and his stock will probably fall. Because that's basically what happened. James Pierce Jr. was labeled as like the worst. He was labeled uncoachable. Uncoachable. And look, maybe it ends up being true. But what I do know is that James Pierce Jr. looked like an absolute animal at the combine. And what I do know is that James Pierce Jr. is a great player. And I can already see it now. There's going to be team after team that will pass on this guy because they want to be like, no, we're above the attitude issues. How could we ever draft a guy who has attitude issues? And then a team's going to take him, and he's going to be a star. Look at Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, everyone knew Micah Parsons was a bona fide top 10, maybe top 5 pick. And he went at 11 or something like that to the Cowboys? And look, he's a star. Now, yes, he has attitude issues. It doesn't negate the fact that he is a star. Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, the same things were coming out about Jalen Carter. He falls to 9 or 10 to the Eagles. And look at him. He is a beast. He is a star, which which you could see from a mile away, but And I feel like the same thing's going to happen with James Pierce Jr. It's kind of happening with Mike Green, and I think Mike Green could be a good player as well. I think James Pierce Jr. is a phenomenal player. Okay? I think he's 100% a top 3 edge rusher in the draft at worst. At worst. Okay? And I just think it'd be a shame if team after, because there's a lot of teams that need edge rushers, if team after team pass on him because of quote unquote attitude problems and he's quote unquote uncoachable. Okay, we know Abdul Carter will be going top 5. All right, probably top 3. But after that, I mean, look at all these teams. Look at all these teams need edge rusher. You're talking about the Panthers. The Panthers in the top 10. They need an edge rusher. Are you going to pass on James Pierce Jr. for who? For Shamar Stewart, who had no production at Texas A&M. But yeah, he looked amazing at the combine, but the production simply isn't there when he was at Texas A&M. Who else? The Saints could probably use an edge rusher. The Colts could probably use an edge rusher. The Falcons for sure could use an edge rusher. The Cowboys could get an edge rusher, especially if they trade Micah. Who else? Who else? The Seahawks, maybe. The Steelers don't need one. Commanders, but again, then you're getting towards the back end of the first round. In my opinion, James Pierce Jr. should be top 15 pick 1,000%, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to crash out and rage so hard if this guy falls to the 20s. I'm going to crash out, especially if he falls to 32 and the Eagles or 31, the Eagles or Chiefs are sitting there and they're like, well, okay, I guess we'll take James Pierce Jr. He fell. That will make me crash out. Or the Lions. The Lions are back there too. They need an edge rusher. Commanders, they need an edge rusher. So go ahead. Let this guy fall to one of those teams. See what happens. See what happens. I know this was a different type of episode. I was coming in. I came in this episode real different. I came in quite emotional, as you can tell. I came in with some ranting, some raving, some fury. That's for sure. And sometimes you have to have these types of episodes. We get quite a few of these episodes from me during the season when things piss me off, and that's just kind of is what it is. Next week, obviously, episode 50. We're going to have a mock draft. Again, don't know if it's 1 or 2 rounder. We'll see. Probably just one, but we'll see. I am honestly, I'm just excited for this. I just want football season to come back, man. I just want football season to come back. I miss it already. I want to see my dogs play. I want to see everybody play. I want to see great games. Okay, I want to see Texas Ohio State week 1. Okay, I mean, come on, that's pure cinema right there. But we have the NFL draft coming up, and I do love the NFL draft. I do love it. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. I will see y'all next week for episode 50. Yep, episode 50. And we're going to have a good time with that 1 round mock. We learned a lot through the combine, and I'm trying to gauge, kind of how because you can do a mock draft one of 2 ways. You can do it, what would you do, or what do you think the teams are going to do? Maybe you can do a balance between the 2. I know the last one I did, that was what I think the teams would do. This next one, maybe I'll do what I would do if I was their GM, but we'll see. I hope everyone has a tremendous Thursday. This is actually a Thursday. And yeah, you'll hear from me next week. What day? I don't know what day you'll get an episode from me. I'm not sure if it'll be Wednesday. If it's not, it might be Tuesday. It could be Tuesday. If it's not Tuesday, then it'll be Wednesday. Most likely. And if it's not either, then it'll obviously be Thursday or Friday. But, you'll get it sometime next week, okay? We know this. The schedule is very flexible nowadays because, football's not here. We're in the off season, the slow period. But yeah, I will see y'all for episode 50 next week. Have a great day. Go out. If it's sunshiny, go enjoy the weather. If it's raining, I guess don't go out and enjoy the weather. Stay inside, read a book, play video games. I don't know, whatever you like to do in your free time. And go Dogs.